Another disappointing day at the office for the Knicks following a loss to the Mavericks. I'm here with SNY NBA insider Ian Begley. And Ian, the Knicks have now lost 9 of their last 11 on a 5-game losing streak. Do you think that this team has been resting on their laurels at all? Obviously, it looks like it's been night and day for this team from before the new year to after the new year. And Deuce McBride made an interesting comment as to what seems like a sense of complacency for this team. What did he have to say?
Yeah, I did think that was interesting. He was talking about the success the Knicks had going back to last season, the success they had earlier this season, and maybe guys getting comfortable, taking their foot off the gas. He thought that might be one factor into why this team has dropped 9 of 11.
Yeah.
But he also said he saw flaws in the way the Knicks were playing earlier this year. He still sees those same flaws, but he said the caliber of opponent is higher, which is certainly true, but not Monday, Chelsea, because this Mavericks team was decimated by injuries. A lot of reserve players on the floor getting it done, making the Knicks look awful, particularly in the first half. So I think the, 5-alarm fire, maybe it's a little early for that, but certainly the concern level should be high, and I think it is high.
Yeah, and it looks worse when the Knicks are at full strength losing to a team like that. All right, so the NBA trade deadline is less than 3 weeks away. Do you think that they need to make a move at all, or do you think that this team believes that they have the pieces in the locker room to turn things around?
Yeah, the way I look at it, Chelsea, is owner James Dolan came out and said kind of what everybody's thinking, the idea that success for this team is getting to the NBA Finals and winning an NBA championship. That's what happens when you fire Tom Thibodeau after he leads you to your first conference finals in 25 years. And so before this skid, I think the Knicks were talking about to other teams about like a Jose Alvarado move, a Keon Ellis move, something that could bolster their bench, but not something that would break up the main core of this team. If you continue to see these performances, though, you know that you're not an NBA Finals team, and I think you have to react accordingly, because if that's where the bar is, you're going to fall well short of that bar with more nights like this one.
You don't want the train to go off the tracks. The Knicks saying that they need to do some soul searching, hopefully hosting the Nets on Wednesday, a team that they're 2-0 this season, will be the jump starter, the kickstarter that they need.
We are now joined by John Alba for more on the Knicks. And John, on Saturday night, you can say you just came off the West Coast trip. You have no Brunson, no Hart, but they were at full strength on Monday. So how disappointing was it to see this kind of an effort?
Boy, what Ian just said was really, really interesting, Eamon, about how when you continue down this path, you find yourself in a position where you really might have to shake it up. And I think we were saying to ourselves as people consuming these games, watching this team pre-NBA Cup to post-NBA Cup, it's just a doldrum. Every single team goes through this. But when you see superstar caliber players, not only not playing to potential, but playing nowhere near that potential, lapsing defensively, lacking effort, and systemically looking entirely lost on the court, you have to ask yourself, where is this train going right now? And I do believe that there is a sincere level of concern that is not hyperbole, that is not overreaction, that is going to take some sort of addressing one way or another. But I will say, I did really appreciate that pretty much all of the Knicks players took a pretty high degree of accountability after the game for this one in how they represent themselves before the fans and what their path going forward is going to be.
And so did the head coach afterwards, as Mike Brown channeled his inner Bill Belichick with the message, do your job. So, John, is it that simple? Is the roster intact, that it's everyone just improving?
Well, you know they have so much talent. You know that Jalen Brunson is a perennial MVP candidate. You know that Karl Anthony Towns' ceiling is enormous. You know that OG Anunoby is supposed to be one of the best 3-and-D players in all of the NBA. So when they're not playing to that potential, yeah, okay, you got to do your job. But I wonder, Eamon, is the message do your job? Is the message that Mike Brown's trying to instill on this team actually resonating in any tangible way? And that brings it back to the point of having let go of Tom Thibodeau, who, say what you want about Tom Thibodeau, flawed in his own ways. We never saw Knicks teams quit and play without life in the way that we've seen from them over the course of the past couple of weeks. So, man, sure, do your job, but it might be a much larger problem than that.
Yeah, well, that would be a scary thought if Mike Brown's already lost the locker room. Not ready to go there just yet, but certainly a tricky situation for the coach indeed. We now say salutations and welcome in Sal Licata. And Sal, there's a time to be rational and logical, but this is not that time. What was your visceral reaction to this performance?
Yeah, I just don't believe in this team, Eamon. So for me, I was never getting caught up when they were at their best. I still think they're an extremely talented team. I never believed in Mike Brown. The fact that you could see, as he just said, 75 points in the first. I mean, come on, what are we doing here? At home to the Mavericks. Yeah, I understand flags back. The Mavericks stink. For the Knicks to get pasted like that, something's got to give. At some point, changes need to be made. I'm not saying fire Brown. I'm not saying make a big trade yet. But obviously, that's where this team is headed because it's just not working the way that it is.
All right, you mentioned changes need to be made. We're not going to fire anybody just yet, but just 2 weeks ago, James Dolan went public with why they made the coaching change and that it was finals or bust for this team. So how likely is it, Sal, that we're going to start to hear some not so on-the-record rumblings out of the Garden?
You know, Eamon, I said this before the season started that I think this hire was going to be more like Don Nelson than it would be a championship head coach here and be better than Tom Thibodeau. So I think that's all fair game. I'm not trying to cost the guy his job here, but Mike Brown was a downgrade from Thibodeau. From day one, he was a downgrade. So you're telling me that a team that's more talented than it was a year ago because they actually have a bench, they're healthier with Mitchell Robinson for a full season, they lose 9 of 11, getting their teeth kicked in every which way here. I'm supposed to expect Mike Brown's going to keep his job the whole way? If Dolan is true to his word, and I'm going to believe that he is, and it's championship or bust, if I'm seeing this and I'm thinking, what'd you guys do here? So I would not be shocked that if it continued like this, if Mike Brown were to have his job lost.
Yeah, the one tricky thing here is if they do make a switch, they're then admitting almost that they made a mistake in firing Tibbs, and I don't know if Dolan and Leon Rose are willing to admit that just yet.